Have you paid attention to this, Jamie, about the 49ers, about San Francisco?
Yeah,
Isn't that nuts?
It could be. Yeah, go ahead.
They think it's real.
A couple of days ago, 49ers general manager John Lynch has stated that the team is looking into a viral conspiracy theory regarding an electrical substation that is tearing ACL. Now, if you don't follow the NFL, American football, the 49ers are by far the most injured team in the NFL. To put it into context for you, if you're a football lover, Marco Royce would be a 49er. If you're a hockey fan, Jack Hughes is suiting up for us. All right, if the 49ers are in the NBA, Anthony Davis, lifetime contract. Because since 2014, the 49ers have had the most games lost due to injury in the entire NFL. Year after year, we see our superstar players die in the middle of the biggest games of the year, and no one could figure out why until a former 49ers player joked about an electrical plant that is located near the team's practice field, and now scientists are theorizing that this may be the cause of injury. And since this report has come out, NFL players are now contacting their agents about the theory, with players potentially avoiding to play for the 49ers in fear of tearing their own Achilles. So today's a different video. All right, we're conducting research. We're getting to the bottom of this, and we're gonna figure out if the 49ers practice field is a soft tissue graveyard or if it's just a ridiculous conspiracy theory that just went viral. Now, before we get to the actual theory, I need to prove to you all just how absurd these 49ers injuries are. Since Kyle Shanahan became head coach of the Niners in 2017, the 49ers have had 2,036 games missed due to injury. 2,036! It's not like our bench players, our backups, our long snapper are the ones that are getting hurt. It's like the most significant positions, the most important players on the team. Let me just rattle off some of the more significant injuries during that time, okay? We had Jimmy Garoppolo, our star quarterback, tore his ACL. Our new draft pick came in, new quarterback, took his ankle. NFC Championship game, our starting quarterback tears his elbow. Our backup quarterback has a concussion, which led to a running back playing quarterback. A running back playing quarterback. Nick Bosa, former defensive player of the year, not one, but two ACL tears. Brandon Ayuk, a first-round receiver, our best wide receiver on the roster, tears his ACL, MCL, and meniscus at the same time. A 3-for-1. But these aren't even the most ridiculous ones. Those are light work compared to Christian McCaffrey's bilateral Achilles tendonitis, which means he had Achilles tendonitis in both legs. In both of his legs as a running back. But that's okay. He misses 8 games. He comes back mid-season. Give him another one. But the most comical one of them all has to be in the Super Bowl when our star linebacker, Dre Greenlaw, tore his Achilles from running onto the field. This guy's Achilles fell off the bone like a beef rib at Destination Smokehouse, all from running on the field. And these issues haven't gone away. Matter of fact, just this year, we had $95 million worth of players on the injured reserve at some point during the year, which is 1/3 of our salary cap. All right, all of our highest paid players all got hurt. And even as a 49ers fan myself, I am petrified of wearing the team's gear in case I go downstairs, collect my Uber Eats, come back up, and I rupture my Achilles, slipping on like a banana peel. And I'm not a guy that likes to make too many injury excuses. I think injuries are part of sports. You know, every championship run that a team has, they've had some injury luck. I don't think it should be an excuse because it can happen to anyone, right? But I don't believe this is an excuse anymore. I think this is like a supernatural disaster. So now that you have all this information on our injuries, this leads to our conspiracy theory for the day. The theory is that one of the reasons why the 49ers have had so many injuries over the past 12 seasons is because of a power plant that is right next to the stadium, which is contributing to more soft tissue injuries. All right, now this is where Levi Stadium, the home field of the Niners, and the team facility right next to it with the practice fields right here, and this is the Silicon Valley substation, the power plant that is powering all of Silicon Valley, producing all this AI slop, all these Charlie Kirk mixtapes. Part of it is powered by this substation. Now, for what it's worth, we do have a couple of former players that support this theory. All right, former quarterback Kurt Bankert for the 49ers said that the only time he had plantar fasciitis is when he spent 80% of the day at Levi Stadium. Another player is Delaney Walker. All right, Tony Montana. Played for the Niners from 2006 to 2012, and he said that the players actually knew about the substation back when he played.
Like when people talk about, look at the trees on the side with the little power station versus the trees, it's all green and everything else.
Yeah, everything dies where the power station is. So like they would start telling us like, yo, this may cause cancer. Like this is a study they're doing. They have doctors coming up there doing what you can even feel it sometimes. Like I don't even know what it is. You can feel
energy,
Chernobyl
or something.
And then a transformer exploded one day. We was at practice. Oh, that shit sound like a bomb went off. I'm like, yo, this is dangerous. We may have signed something. I'm gonna be honest. Yeah, I heard they was like, oh, it may make your ligaments weak. And I'm like, God damn, that's crazy. And then when I saw the picture, I'm like, yo, we practiced right there.
So he states that the power plant could have possibly given the players cancer. Why are we practicing here? Bro just said the trees near the substation were dead. Why were they there? People are saying this is ridiculous. All right, what are you scared of? A little radiation? Huh? You pussy? People just don't believe it until a scientist by the name of Peter Cohen explained to my goat, Skip Bayless, about the theory.
It's an electrical substation that was built in 1986. It's now very near the practice field and Levi Stadium, obviously in Santa Clara, correct?
Yeah, I went down there with my dad. I was down in the Bay for Thanksgiving, and on the way to the airport, we stopped and I had my Gauss meter and I measured. I couldn't get up to the facility, so I kind of extrapolated. It's basically a very strong AC magnetic field. You know, they spend up to 6 days a week there training those facilities. Over a long period of time, it's gonna dehydrate their cells.
So this lad right here, Peter, all right, he said, screw the turkey. We're gonna bring a Gauss meter to Levi Stadium to measure the level of radiation, the level of EMF, which stands for electromotive forces, all right? This guy went down to Santa Clara, sneaks into what looks like a bunker or like an underground tunnel of some sort, and is filming under a fence of the practice facility for the 49ers just to conduct this scientific research during his Thanksgiving break. Look at him, he's literally in like a bunker, all right? This is his Gauss meter. And just from his little bunker, he's gotten up to over 8.5 milligauss of EMF. And to put this in perspective, he states that the average background level in a typical American home or office is usually between 0.5 and 3.0 milligauss. So this guy's literally recording this from under a fence in a bunker like he's El Chapo. He's not even near the actual practice field, where he estimates it to be around 13 to 21 milligauss on a normal day during practices or when players are watching film throughout the facility. Now you're probably wondering, Hef, what does this mean? Why does this all matter? What is this milligauss, Mickey Mouse, Mohegan Sun, Capri Sun, Lakers and Fox? What does this all mean? All right, and to put it in the simplest human chimp terms, translated from the language that us scientists use, basically what he's saying is that the EMF is weakening the players' collagen, which weakens your tendons until normal athletic loads cause catastrophic failure. So for example, in CMC's terms, he's recovering from this bilateral Achilles tendonitis, right? He's going through rehab, he's working hard, he's lifting weights, he's making sure that he's game speed, ready to go. He comes back and boom, they take his knee. Well, this guy's theorizing that his collagens in his knee were breaking down the tendons the entire time that he was rehabbing from his Achilles tendonitis, to the point that when he came back, there goes his knee. Now, before we continue with this current hypothesis, we need to rule out some other possible theories. The first thing we can rule out is the Niners training staff is just terrible. In 2019, the 49ers decided to overhaul their training staff because of all the injuries they were getting. And in the very next year, with a new staff, they proceeded to have the second most injuries of any NFL team in the past 20 years, okay? So the training staff, while it's possible it could be an issue, it ranks in B- and B- in training staff and training room. Hey, we'll take B-. Patriots are at C- for training rooms, C+ for training staff. They still look good. It's a possibility that the training staff is a reason why, but as my goggles fog up here, I'm not going to sit up here and believe that a team that pours millions of dollars into the training staff and into the recovery staff are somehow just 30% worse than the entire league. We spent millions of dollars on them, millions of dollars on nutrition. That makes no sense to me. The next theory is turf, all right? For years, we've heard players complaining about playing on turf, all right? Saying it's like concrete, it hurts to fall on turf, and the Niners used to practice on turf until this offseason, where the 49ers ripped out their artificial field in favor of natural grass. And then George Kittle ruptures his Achilles. And then Fred Warner fractures his ankle. And then Nick Bosa tears his ACL. And then Brock Purdy has turf. That doesn't work either, okay? So now the front office starts to listen to Peter Cohen by saying that they are looking into this electrical substation issue, making it official, all right? Now, the most popular argument against this theory online that I've seen is that this substation has been around since the 1980s. The 49ers clearly had no problems when they won 5 Super Bowls with this substation being near the stadium. Why is it a problem now? Well, the answer comes from this chart, all right? And it basically says that after 2014, this substation was expanded by 2,000%. They turned up the voltage by 2,000%. For like Silicon Valley, so the players could walk around with like headaches, all from this EMF Mickey Mouse milligauss, all right? So that argument makes no sense either, because once again, the 49ers lead the NFL in games lost due to injuries since 2014. But now we gotta ask questions to Peter Cohen. As a research scientist myself, I had to challenge the hypothesis. Why hasn't this been on anyone's radar? If Delaney Walker says players have been talking about this since 2006, how it could cause cancer, cancer, how they had to sign forms, and how there are dead trees on the side of the substation. Why isn't there anyone bringing this up within the organization? Well, the problem in California is that if anyone that the 49ers actually wanted to ask an expert, a scientist like myself, or like an engineer about the substation, they would say that it's okay. There's nothing wrong. Perfectly safe, as the substation doesn't heat up any tissues in your body. And that answer is technically correct. However, the problem is the rulebook itself. And the best example that Peter gave us is the same reason why cell towers and Wi-Fi routers, power lines, none of these are flagged as health concerns, because the health concerns only measure the thermal effects, whether or not it's heating up your tissues, and that's the only thing they check for. All right, you and I know that if we were just standing next to a power line with like a router stable onto our cranium, we would be like Booger McFarlane on ESPN. We know it's not safe, all right? And apparently it's the same concept with the substation. So if the Niners ever ask somebody to check the substation, they're only checking for the thermal effects, and technically speaking, under those guidelines, everything is safe. So after Peter Cohen releases this report, this sets off an absolute fire within the 49ers community. Some people believe it's absolute BS, all right? According to my source, a lot of the players even use electricity at home to power their houses. And for the side that doesn't believe in this theory, they contributed to the fact that Kyle Shanahan just has a rigorous practice schedule.
The best way to build your body to make it through a year is building that callus. I really believe in 3 practices in a row as we go through camp. I can't always do it, all right, because of scheduling and stuff, but that's what our goal is. All right, the more we can practice 3 days in a row and fight through soreness and stuff is the more you build that callus, so we can do it the right way during the year.
So now people are comparing Kyle Shanahan practices to like concentration camps, all right? But while this is all happening, international scientists decide to step in, and they say the theory is nonsense and that the explanation is also unlikely. According to Hans Krumhout, they haven't seen evidence that suggests an increased risk for tendons, ligaments, and bones from EMF. He says that the things he measured are actually quite low, all right, stating the 8.5 milligauss, saying that it's kind of what you would expect in any normal house, all right? Basically just shat on Cohen's face, and they believe the danger level of EMF is around 2,000 milligauss, okay? That's when it gets dangerous. As my goggles continue to fog up here, you're probably wondering, Hef, as a scientist yourself, do you believe in this theory? And my answer to that question is, it doesn't matter. None of this actually matters, okay? Because number one, the players are already getting distressed. They're already getting concerned. This is affecting our free agency chances. And unless they actually move the practice facility and the stadium, or they move the power plant, this will always be a concern. Because it sounds like the amount of research and the amount of conclusiveness that they need to have to actually prove the EMF theory to be true, it's just way too much, and it'll take too long. And you mix this concern with the high tax in California, it makes it even more unlikely that players will sign in San Francisco. All I know is we keep getting hurt, okay? This isn't like a normal level of injuries. I don't think any of you guys can argue against this, okay? Either our practice theories need to change, maybe Shanahan just has to be less stubborn and change his methods, change his beliefs, or the practice fields need to be moved, all right? Because this is outrageous. Maybe this is why Ayuk stopped answering Kyle Shanahan's phone calls, all right? Maybe he believes EMF towards ACL, MCL, and meniscus at the same time. But don't worry, guys. John Lynch is looking into it, all right? He's on the case, just like every trade deadline. He's gonna look into it. He's gonna do his due diligence. Leave a like and subscribe.